What if Taylor Swift was being psychologically tormented by a parasitic demon that feeds on her deepest fears and insecurities? That's the premise here in Smile 2. We have a global pop sensation, Skye Riley. She's getting ready to embark on a world tour, but she's recovering from a trauma that she suffered. She caused an accident with her and her boyfriend. He died in this car accident. She was severely injured. And so she's sort of dealing with the trauma of this happening and some drug use and this, that, and the other thing. This demon, as we've learned in the first film, feeds off of trauma. She's its next target. She starts to experience some horrifying and confusing events. That's more or less the plot of this movie. It's written and directed by Parker Finn, who is the same guy who did the first one. Man, was this movie bad.
It's kind of funny that you can have watched this and not have seen the first and still understand what the evil spirit is. They explain it.
Yeah. I should mention, you and I watched the first one.
Yeah.
Back when it came into streaming. Because we were going to talk about the first one on the podcast. Mm-hmm. And I think you and I both just like decided like, nah, we don't even have to talk about it because it was like not even worth talking about.
When you watch this movie, you have an idea in your head of how it's going to end. You're like, once you figure out, you're like, okay, this thing wants her to smile and kill herself on stage in front of everybody.
Right. The mechanics, I think, is what you're talking about. The mechanics of this demon.
Yeah.
Because it passes on from person to person.
You have to witness the suicide.
Right. And then it passes on.
You kill yourself while smiling and it goes to the next person.
Very loose, nonsensical mechanics of possession. This movie was just cartoonish, to say the least. I don't know if I've ever seen a worse writing in a movie before.
If you could make this like an hour and 15-minute movie,
nah, that wouldn't.
I might be like, not a bad, or it is maybe a short film. I don't know.
There are a few redeeming qualities to this movie, to be perfectly honest.
There were some really good scenes. Like she did a great job acting out some of those scenes. A lot of it was just like, well, we know what's going on now. What are we still doing here?
So I understand there's like a level of subtext to this movie that the writer-director wanted to really, I guess, portray here. It's like the pressures of like being famous and like that lifestyle. And maybe if you're really trying to reach for something, like the pressures that society puts on celebrities to be in the spotlight and all this stuff. But all that stuff is nonsense because you're talking about 1% of the population. I can't relate to that shit. So now you're showing me you're asking me to care about somebody like that. And on, I guess, a human level, I can care when somebody's dealing with some crazy bullshit. But really, I don't care about anything she's dealing with. I don't care about the stress of performing. I don't care about the stress of like signing autographs. Like, I don't know anything about that. I can't barely afford health insurance. Give me a break, Parker Finn. And this movie is like nothing but cheap, ineffective, not even effective jump scares. They're cheap. You could tell when they're coming 100% of the time, and they're not even scary. And gore. And neither of it is any good. So at its core, like as a horror movie, I didn't think it really was that effective. It wasn't scary. It wasn't creepy. It didn't do anything really that disturbing or freaky. Like I know it like thought it was doing those things. Like I know the director thought that like, oh, he's going to smash his face over and over again with a weight. And we're going to hold on it. We're not going to pull away from it. Like, it wasn't really disturbing or gross. And you and I talk about this a lot, it seems, like with gratuitous gore and violence in horror movies. Like it doesn't gross me out, doesn't offend me or anything, but it also doesn't do anything when it doesn't serve the plot of the movie. And this felt like that. It was just like trying to be extreme, I feel like. So
yeah, Christina was actually pissed off that they didn't show it at the end, but they did show it through the rest of the movie. She's like, if they don't show it, of course they're not going to show it.
Right.
I think that was what she said.
And so, outside of those core elements of horror movies, like there was just, the acting was terrible from top to bottom, with the exception of Naomi Scott. The dialogue in this movie is perhaps some of the worst I've ever seen in a movie. One was towards the end when they reveal how the car accident happened, and it's them two fighting in the car back and forth. It was comical. She's like, I hate you. And he's like, I hate you. And it's just,
Yeah.
oh, and the other bit of dialogue was when her friend came over, the one who she was like estranged from.
Yeah,
Gemma, yeah. She comes over the apartment and there's a little bit of an exchange. And I literally laughed. It was like, I can't remember exactly what she said, but Skye like explained something to her or something's going on. And Gemma's like, what? What's happening? What do you mean? It was, I was like, this is like high school dialogue, like film class dialogue. And,
ride or die.
you know, and like I said, ride or die. I forgot about that. Man, the acting in this movie was bad. And so that brings me to Naomi Scott, who was the absolute standout of this movie. She was really good throughout the whole movie. I thought she did a fantastic job of like showcasing her emotional state, which was pure confusion because she's dealing with paranormal hallucinations. She doesn't know what's real, what's happening to her. She portrayed like this like mental break really, really well. But at the end of the movie got so bad it even made her look bad. Specifically that scene on stage where she's like, no. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Just how bad certain things were. I honestly have nothing good to say about this movie except for her acting.
Yeah. Like when they were the dancing style chasing her down the hallway and filling up the room.
Yeah.
And she just kept turning around like, okay.
Was there any moment where you were actually scared?
No.
I think the creepiest moment, if I had to give it one, was in her apartment when the deranged fan, when she's running away and you hear his footsteps chasing her.
Yeah.
That was an effective bit. And then she opens the door and he's not there. Okay, cool. But other than that, man, like, good God, this was a rough movie to watch.
Yeah. No, that was a good run scene.
I'm just like really tired of, we saw it a lot this year. Like more than I feel like I could remember, more than recent memory. We saw it a lot where these horror movies, specifically this happens in the horror genre, I don't know why, but these horror movies come out with like crazy viral marketing, and then clearly influencers on TikTok and social media are being paid. They have to be like, this is the scariest movie of the year. You know, people are throwing up in theaters over it, blah, blah, blah. And then we end up watching the movie and we're like, what the fuck? Like, what were people talking about? Like, it's literally been every horror movie we've watched this year. It's Smile too. Late Night with the Devil, which happened to be good, but like, it was still virally marketed and overhyped. Longlegs, virally marketed, overhyped, let us down quite a bit. The Omen sequel, like all these horror movies we saw this year, I feel like did the same shit. And it's like, I'm just getting so tired of it. And
yeah, what's up next? Nosferatu.
If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, it's just filled with these outlandish takes on this movie that I'm like, there's just no way you believe this. 86% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes with an 81% audience score. Smile 2 is likely to put the thing from the title of the movie on your face. One of the rare sequels that's better than the original in every way. Smile 2 is a different kind of horror movie than the first one. It is bigger, brighter, bolder than the original Smile. This isn't a bad thing. What are we talking about here?
I don't know, Dan. I don't know what they're talking about.
Parker Finn, who returns to write and direct, focuses entirely on destroying nerves with images destined to invade the brain and generate anxiety long after the film is concluded. I forgot I watched this movie yesterday.
What else has this kid done?
Nothing. Smile and Smile 2. And he did like some, I don't know, short film or some shit. Yeah, Laura Hasn't Slept and The Hide Behind. They're telling me I'm going to be thinking about this movie long after I'm done watching it. I literally forgot that I watched it yesterday. That's how bad this shit was. This movie did nothing to me. Wiped it completely out of my memory in an instant.
There was a thread there that was actually like tiny bit interesting. When I was talking about Peter Jacobson, his character Morris, where he's like, man, my brother tried to tell me, like he asked for help and I just didn't listen.
Yeah.
And when she gets to that point where she's in the room with her mom and she's asking for help, but her mom's not listening, like that's some scary shit right there. If like,
sure,
but there was just like 2 seconds of that,
but also
just so far apart and disoriented that it didn't. I was like, you could have really done something there. Could have, could have scared me, but no.
The funny thing about that is that both of those things that you just described, her even meeting that guy, the conversation with her mom, being in the hospital, we find out at the end, the big twist is that like literally all this shit that we've been watching, that like 75% of the movie basically didn't happen. It was in her head.
Yeah.
What kind of story are you telling, dude? I don't understand how this got greenlit. I don't know how Parker Finn keeps getting work. I don't know if he has like family members in Hollywood or if he has like dirt on some executive or something. But I cannot understand how this movie got made. Like legitimately. Our audiences like going to see this, I guess, maybe if you're to believe the reviews. This guy should not work again, really. Like honestly, he should. And I hate to be mean, but like, this ain't it. And the other thing that neither of us have mentioned, I think you and I are being quite friendly about this premise about an evil being passed on from person to person like a disease is completely ripped from It Follows, which is a far superior movie in every possible way imaginable. This is a 6.8 on IMDb. It is beyond me how it is this high. I legitimately liked nothing about this movie except for Naomi Scott's acting, and I won't even credit the movie with her performance. So this shit is a 0 for me.
I give it a 4.5. Like,
okay, there you have it, folks. Smile 2. If you've seen it, let us know what you think. Leave a comment because I am bewildered that people liked this movie, and I hate to sound like dismissive of, because whatever, it's art and art is blah. It's subjective. If you liked it, fine. Is it fun? Like, I honestly, if I went out on like a date to this movie, like, it's not even, I wouldn't even be able to just like turn my brain off and have fun with this. It's just that bad. So leave a comment. Let us know what you thought about Smile 2 if you've seen it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.